If you've watched any of my content, used any of my training programs, or seen me train, then you know I'm a free weight guy. Barbells and dumbbells have been the bulk of my training for the last 20 years. And I've argued my point on why I think basic free weight training is generally superior to machine training. And when I do, I'm often met with the same argument by a small percentage of people who say machines are actually better for building muscle than free weights. They'll usually say they offer more stability, which is true. They can remove supporting and assisting muscles from taking over, which is also true. And they can isolate and target muscles more effectively by removing the weak link. This is also true. Think a barbell row when you have to stabilize that weight at a 45 to 90 degree angle, when you're specifically trying to train the upper back. Many will argue that this requirement to stabilize your own weight and the barbell, that makes that movement less effective for the upper back, which is what we're really trying to hit when we do a barbell row. Now, the argument is that on a hammer strength row or a machine row, if we use a chest support that completely removes the lower back, you're now left with the upper back failing first on the row. All of these things are in fact true, and I'm not going to argue against that. But most people look at these arguments and they draw the conclusion that all of these benefits mean machines are by far superior than free weights for hypertrophy. And I get it. Now that I mentioned all these arguments, you might think that I can see the argument for using machines for hypertrophy. But to that argument, my rebuttal is you're looking at a small piece of the puzzle that causes a marginal difference in results. And as a result, you're actually skipping over the things that offer massive results. One of them is the benefits of getting brutally strong on free weight training that has to offer. In my opinion, that one thing alone, it negates any of those little advantages that machines have to offer. Let me explain why. Argument number one. Let's talk the barbell row. Since this movement has arguably gotten the most critique out of any free weight movement, especially in recent years, I say it over and over again, despite the fact that it is a rowing exercise, and you're really targeting the middle and upper back, barbell rows are a massive exercise for the exact reason that people hate on it. The fact that you need to hold a heavy weight, engage your lower back, your core, your posterior chain, and essentially lift heavy weights from an uncomfortable position, that strengthens not just the upper back and builds the upper back, but the entire posterior chain. This also gets you stronger not just on rowing, but now your squats will increase, leading to bigger quads. You'll be able to pull heavier weights on your hip hinges, growing your back, hamstrings, and glutes bigger and thicker. When you build this type of full body strength that really only free weights can do, and believe it or not, this type of strength, it actually trickles down to the little exercises, like dumbbell curls for biceps and lateral raises for shoulders. If you're strong enough to curl 50, 60, or 70 pound dumbbells, you better believe you're gonna need a strong core and lower back, or else your form is gonna be sloppy and all over the place. But forget about any technical arguments for a minute. Let's just look at what history has shown us over and over again. After all, you can never argue with real life results. Virtually every Mr. Olympia has incorporated barbell rows. They've all done T-bar rows. They've all done Romanian deadlifts or stiff leg deadlifts. Everyone's seen Arnold barbell rowing or T-bar rowing and pumping iron. Lee Haney has gone on record saying the barbell row is the best exercise for a massive back, hands down. Dorian Yates, well, the Yates row. Ronnie Coleman, say what you want about his injuries. That's a result of not hanging it up when it was time to do so. But when he was healthy, an 8-time Mr. Olympia, walking around with the most massive back on the planet, he was doing barbell rows. Second argument. Despite what people like to argue online, free weights are actually very efficient set per set at stimulating muscle growth. One of the things that I find very ironic about guys that are always hyper obsessed with maximizing everything they do in the gym is they're always afraid of junk volume or simply doing anything other than the bare minimum. Yet, when you use too many machines in training, you tend to have to do additional exercises just to fill in the gaps. If we eliminate that lower back on rows by doing machine rows, now we're likely to have to do more hyperextensions or lower back specific training. That's additional volume that we have to do now and that we have to recover from. And arguably, maybe we could have gotten the same results, if not better, with fewer sets and less exercises if we used a more broad exercise like something like the barbell row. And a great way to take full advantage to something like the big compound lifts have to offer is picking exercises that target one muscle group but have a lot of carryover to lagging muscle groups so that we don't have to jack our training volume up by doing exercises for each one of these body parts. Example, let's say you're training triceps, but you also have a lagging chest. Rather than doing machines and tons of isolation exercises for the triceps, if you focus a large majority of tricep training on things like heavy close grip presses or even dips, you're now hammering both your triceps and your chest without having to add in any additional chest work to make up additional volume. That additional work that you would have done would also have eaten into your recovery ability. Bottom line, many people will argue that free weights are suboptimal, but they probably just don't know how to use them properly. And I don't know anyone who's built an impressive physique who at the very least didn't prioritize them early on in their training career. And if you're looking for the exact programs that I personally recommend to build more muscle using proven old school bodybuilding methods, all my old school mass gain programs are down below. And as always, if you want to see more of the best original bodybuilding content just like this, make sure to hit subscribe.